All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us in discussing one of the industry's top carriers today in SILAC. My name is Matt Sabala. I'm an annuity sales director at IAMS. Before we jump into these amazing opportunities with Carrie and Andre from SILAC, I wanted to share some information about who we are here at IAMS and highlight some of why our agents love working with our team. We will have a few quick polls during the webinar. Please participate in those. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the webinar questions, and we will make sure they're answered for you today. The first thing I wanted to highlight is our best-in-class customer service. Everybody says that, but we mean our commitment to you is that we can always answer the phone. When you're calling in, you'll always get a live person. During business hours here, that's usually 8:30 to 5 Central Standard Time. Phone number here is 800-255-5055. We will always answer the phone when you call in. We don't even have voicemail here. We strive to answer that phone within 2 rings, and all of us here at the company, from the lowest to the low all the way up to the president, answer the phone here. You're that important to us. Let's talk about some of what we do here with regard to new agents. So the New Producers Builder Program is for those of you who are new to IAMS. These bonuses are available based on your production level in your first 180 days of contracting with us. We have great levels that you can qualify at, and as you see inside each level are some great options for you. We've got incredible business building tools, personal perks, and even cash rewards available. A lot of different things that we can do for you here. Some of these have even been updated to where we have more options available, so you'll want to check with us if you're interested in any of these levels. Recently, I had a producer qualify for the $1 million level, and we did 3 workshops that we paid for him. So pretty cool deal there. It's a great way to hit the ground running, and something that most people who have just contracted with us are really excited about, hitting a certain level there. If you'd like more information, make sure you get in touch with your marketer here at IAMS, and we will go into detail with you on these different levels and whatever you may be interested in. It'll tie into what I'm talking about here in a little bit as well with our marketing analysis. Another thing we do with the Business Builder program is our referral producer program. I see a couple advisors on with us today that have taken advantage of this. Our business on the wholesale side of the industry is very similar to what you guys do in the field. One of the best leads we could ever obtain is from a referral, and with one of our valued producers. This is why we want to make it worth your while when you refer somebody to us. That being said, when you refer somebody, we simply cut you a check when they contract for $50, but that's not the main part of it. The real money comes in when whoever you referred writes business. You get a percentage of the override, and that adds up. There are some people here who have a significant check coming to them every month because of the people that they've referred to us here at IAMS. Steve Murray, Charles Hearing, Curtis Hawks, and Chris Conroy, the ownership here, sign checks for thousands of dollars every month, every quarter. With that being said, if you can think of anybody that could benefit from doing business with our team, please type their information into the questions box, and you can also email me that information at matts@imsinc.com, Matt with an S at imsinc.com. Next, those of you that are already aligned with us, you know how important back office support is. Some IMOs do it better than others, but I think we're really, really good at this. It's definitely another way that we add value to your business. When you send in an app here, we're going to scrub it and try and make sure you don't run into any issues with the carriers. We typically do a pretty good job of that. Service is at the very core of IAMS and the cornerstone of what Charles Hearing founded us on 37 years ago. We want to help the independent advisor work smarter, not harder. We're going to do that with great business building tools and resources. Of course, advanced case design assistance, life and annuity quotes, and a guarantee that we'll get those back to you in an absolute maximum of 24 hours is something that we like to hang our hat on. Normally, though, we get that stuff back to you pretty quick, an hour or two. Sometimes it's even quicker. I get an email at least a couple of times a week saying, wow, you guys are quick. Quicker with annuity illustrations than life because they're a little bit more detailed, but you guys get the story. Submission to commission support is handled by our new business teams. Amber William heads up the annuity side, and Michelle, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, but it's Cosoil. I always get it wrong. Heads up the life side. They've been fantastic teams who work tirelessly to help you get commissioned quicker. We will scrub your applications, submit them on your behalf, do all the administrative tracking, and get you updates on the cases needed. We do this to ensure you get paid as quickly as possible. Like I said, this is a service that we provide to all our valued producers, and how we help you grow your business by keeping you in front of clients while our team handles the back office support for you. Just last week, I had a large producer, a guy who does about $20 million in annuities and $300,000 in life targets, say, I just need somebody to help me with my agents, not have to micromanage them and track down their apps and find out what's needed when, if they're missing something. And he was just looking for a good team of people that can help with that. He came out and took a look at what we do here, was really satisfied with the way that we operate our business, and said this is exactly what he needs. So if you're in a situation like that where you're having trouble keeping track of your own business or somebody that works underneath you or with your practice, give us a call. We can set up a customized approach to how we tackle that with you. Let's take a quick second actually to do one of our polls. We'll do it very quickly here, but the first poll is would you like more information on let's see, would you like to get appointed with SILAC? And we'll actually, let's save that one for later. We're going to talk about IAMS wealth management here in a little bit. I'm going to save the poll for just a second, guys. I thought I had a different poll set up for this one, so my apologies. Let's talk a little bit about Firelight real quick. Firelight e-apps, you can sign on through our website at IAMSinc.com. Technology, you guys know this is where the industry is going, and Firelight is a top-notch streamlining site for the application process. Most of our carriers are on our e-app platform, so you can go to that site and submit your business. It's COVID friendly, and some of the carriers are going to e-app only. Other carriers are requiring that you use e-apps in order to get paid your full commission, or they take like 0.25% cut. Make sure you ask your sales director before you submit a paper app to just make sure you can, you're not going to earn more by going through Firelight, but this is a great tool to use anyway. A couple of things it does for you is it accelerates the application process substantially. If you submit a paper app, it's going to take longer to get paid. Also, it reduces the processing time by making sure that any errors that you may have while submitting the app are caught by the AI within Firelight. If you're missing something, it's going to tell you in a lot of cases, or if you put an answer that doesn't make sense, in a lot of cases, it'll let you know. So it just speeds that whole process up so you can have the most efficient and effective way to submit your business. I talked earlier about marketing solutions, and when we were talking about that new producer bonus, we do a lot of different things for you. Our creative team does everything from business cards to websites to helping out set up seminar events, all the way up to and including radio and TV. We are doing all kinds of stuff for our advisors right now. They are a team of people that are solely focused in the advisor space, so it's not like running down the street and grabbing a graphic designer to help set up your website. These are people that understand this industry very well and provide excellent solutions to you. All sorts of stuff as far as optimizing social media, logo design. I mean, you kind of see a brief snapshot of some of the different things that they are capable of. but please keep in mind those are resources to you and your practice. Our website is a really good tool for producers as well. If you're not utilizing this website and you are already aligned with us, you're missing out. If you are not contracted with IAMS, let's get you contracted so you have access to the tools on the website. You see some of them on the screen here. It's a great tool and another reason to work with us. You do have to be contracted to get full access to the website, and it's very simple to do. Once you are set up, we'll walk you through it and show you where some of the critical tools are. Annuity rate watch is one I use every day. Term quoter is another good one. We've got some really good sales tools, turnkey things that you can pick up off our website as far as marketing goes. We can customize those to your practice, and it's a really, really good tool for both internal and external marketing, and that doesn't cost you a dime. Hundreds and hundreds of marketing pieces there, as well as some great tools to use when you're comparing products for your clients. Also have a lot of good training information on there, like all of our webinars, like the one we're doing today, are accessible through our website. IAMS Wealth Management is a big part of what we do now. We founded it a little bit more than 4 years ago. It's grown very organically and is now a significant piece of our business and our advisors' businesses in a lot of cases. We've helped advisors become IARs and pass the Series 65 at a very successful clip. Once you've registered, we will bring great value to your practices. The fees are low, and partnering with IAMS Wealth Management allows you to tap into some cutting-edge technology and investment platforms. This has been a major growth sector for us, like I said, and our business, and AUM could be a major growth sector for you and your business as well. One thing I always point out to people, and I don't like to push people into getting a securities license, but if you don't have that or don't have a resource to somebody who can partner with you on the wealth management side of the business, it's likely that a client that you were talking to is needing to talk to another advisor to leave their money in a growth bucket. So sometimes you may lose out on an opportunity if you don't have that under your belt. If you'd like to explore what it would take to get your 65 and become an AUM person, let me know. I can set up a quick conversation with that team. They are very, very good. Tapping into IAMS Wealth Management also gives you immediate access to everything that we do on the creative side of the business. I talked about training a little bit earlier. Our Life and Annuity Academy, we just finished one up in June. Guys, this is a phenomenal tool that we offer. I personally have worked at the largest IMO in the country. I have worked at another one who's been around a long, long time, and a lot of people from that IMO went on to found several different IMOs. I have never seen better training than the Academy. If you can make it to one of these events and qualify for one of these events, we would love to have you out there. We've got one coming up here at the beginning of August. We just filled that up, actually. We should have another one coming up in September or October. They are typically sponsored by one of our carriers that we work with, like we did one with SILAC not too long ago that went really, really well. We will be doing these periodically throughout the year. We, I think, are on pace to do 6 this year. We'll probably do a similar number yet next year. But this is a great opportunity to learn from other top advisors like yourself about successful appointment setting techniques, excellent marketing strategies that are working cohesively together, and a great opportunity to share ideas with other people who are successful in the industry. In addition to that, we have typically an opportunity for you to meet our team face-to-face, especially if you're at the Omaha office. That's a pretty cool deal too. It's one thing to talk to somebody on the other end of the phone every day, but to get an opportunity to meet them face-to-face is always important, in my opinion. Let's do a quick poll here about the Academy. I'm going to open this up. we'll just spend a couple of seconds on it. If you are interested in attending the Academy, please vote either way, yes or no. And we'll just leave this open here for a couple of seconds, and then we'll move on. While you are voting, I would say if you are interested in registering for an academy, you can do that on our website under the training tab. So please make a point to do that, or just give me a holler at matts@iamsinc.com and I will get that information to you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that here in a couple seconds. Thank you for those who voted. All right. We do a number of different trips. One of them that people are qualifying for right now, you'll see the trip dates are in 2024, so qualification is still open for this, is the Seaside Sanctuary in, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, Kawa Island. I did try and pronounce it, I was just kidding. In South Carolina, a really, really neat venue, all inclusive. We get you out there, put you up at this high-end resort. It's a really horrible time. You have to play golf and go swimming and have some tasty drinks. If that sounds like as bad a time as I'm making it out to be, then make sure you get qualified for this, and we will get you out there. And again, that's a great opportunity to share some best practices with other people who are at the top of their game, like some of you are. Make sure you follow us and like us on Facebook and LinkedIn. It wouldn't be a presentation if I didn't tell you to like and subscribe. And with that, I will hand this off to Andre and Carrie to let them talk a little bit about what they have going on at SILAC. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Let me show my screen. Okay, want to thank Matt and IAMS for the opportunity to get in front of you, all of you, and I appreciate all you joining. My name is Andre Thompson, Regional Director with SILAC, and I also have the Head of Product Development, Carrie Freeburg, on this call. We will go over some of the indexing and basically the interest environment through SILAC, and then how that applies to any of you that are either interested in working with SILAC or already have existing policyholders with us, and how that might play out here in the coming months. So as I talked about, we will touch on current index performance, talk about the secret sauce and what goes on behind the scenes, and then Carrie will touch on the level option budget and renewal rates. So pretty straightforward, and I think this will be value added. So to go over some of the indexes that we have that drive the performance of the contract, you can see here S&P 500, Atlas, our global index, Credit Suisse Ravenpack AI, NASDAQ NextGen, and then our most recent index, volatility index that we have is our S&P 500 Duo Swift, and we'll touch on all of these during this presentation. So to jump right into the S&P 500, you can see here what we're looking at is what has happened over a 12-month period, 7/1 to 7/1/23, and you can see double-digit returns. And then we also test that to our NASDAQ NextGen index that we just introduced last year, September, and how it's performed from that point until year-to-date or July 1st, and then what is going on from January 1st until today as far as performance. So you can see here a great story with the S&P 500, great performance and return, and double-digit returns. And then when you look at that on a graph here, and this, where you can see the circle, represents some potential here for clients to have some positive returns and growth in their contract. And that's looking over, again, a 12-month period. And you can see how the trend, and assuming it stays at this particular trend and has positive credits, people that have policyholders with us in that October, November, December could have double-digit returns, some of that performance that we're showing here. So a great story with the S&P 500 and one of the indexing options that we offer. Then transitioning over to our global index, as I indicated, this is Barclays Atlas 5. It's a global index, and this is how it's allocated. So keep in mind, there's a 5% volatility index here, and it also has equity component and a bond component. And the one thing that you'll see as I go through the slide is that the bond component, the international bond component, is really helping Atlas to have some of those positive returns because interest rates have been up, the US bond performance has been down. So the slogan that you have here with Atlas 5 is being at the right place at the right time and being able to move in between equities and bonds to give you strong performance. And that's essentially what is happening here and how it is allocated. Same graph as before. If you look at it from a year-over-year period, just up 1%. But if you start looking at, again, clients that maybe started to allocate to this index in September to year to date, positive returns, even better. And then when you look at it from January 1 of this year to July, you can see that story continues to grow and be even better. And I want to show you how this is basically looking on as a graph again. And you can see here where the trend was going down, 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 and then we're out here in November, January 2023, and that is great potential again for positive growth. And if you assume that everything stays as is and it closes at 251, there's going to be great potential here since June for positive credits. And that's basically what this graph is outlining. So if you have policyholders again that are going to have anniversaries coming up, you're going to have a good story to tell potentially if everything stays the same. Transitioning to Credit Suisse Ravenpack and our AI allocation, this is a S&P 500 index, but it's allocated to 11 different sectors, and it basically uses consumer sentiment to help drive where we're going to allocate those particular funds. And as you can see, it notes that it went in transition from the last quarter to now from consumer staples to energy, but it also touches on, as I talked about before, how bonds have been down in the US because of higher interest rates. You can see how it's allocated differently now to help drive strong performance. Now this one, and I'll touch on this a little further in the slide, and maybe Carrie has some additional insight, but what I will say here is that this is one that going into 2022 or towards the end of 2022 is one of the last ones to start having a negative return. So it stayed a little bit stronger compared to some of our other indexes for the good part of 2022. And what you'll find is that not all indexes are the same. It's not linear. So depending on the economic environment, it will dictate how these indexes perform. So looking at that, as you can see here, it's allocated 29% to equities, 71% to bonds, and year over year, it's down. But as again, I told you, there was a lag with Credit Suisse Ravenpack as far as them having positive credits for a longer period of time before they started going negative. And year to date, it's down a little bit over 1%. But if you are familiar with our platform, or even if you're not, what we have is a boost strategy. And that boost strategy, it can range from 4% all the way up to 7%, can help enhance some of those returns when allocating to this particular index. Another graph just showing you here of what it looks like. Same credits, again, that boost strategy, assuming that you allocated to it, could potentially provide some more consistency and a boost. It hasn't provided, we've had some positive credits through this year in 2023, but it's nothing consistent. So again, if the trend continues to where it's going up, as you can see here from July of now on into fall, there could be a good potential for some strong credits. And that also assumes that the close date is around 239. Looking at our NASDAQ Next Gen, this is one of the indexes we were very excited about introducing to the market space as of September of last year. And this is more of a tech sector index, and you can see it takes the top 100 companies within NASDAQ, and you call that NASDAQ 100. Then NASDAQ Next Gen are those companies from 101 to 200. As you can see here, a great story already year to date that it's almost up 40%, and you can see how it's allocated. Now, the one thing with the NASDAQ Next Gen is that it provides what we call a stop loss feature. So instead of it going into bonds, it might put a stop on it and go to cash. And as you can see here, that's basically what it's allocated to. Almost 63% is in cash. So you're not having that drag with bond performance as it stands right now. And to give you a visual of what that performance is, you can see here year to date, up almost 7%, 6.5%. And looking at it from the inception of when you could allocate to this index, again, strong performance at 6.71%, and then year over year, a little bit lower than 6 at 5.66%. Again, that stop loss feature is what is providing some additional boost in this particular contract or index to provide strong performance. Looking at this, you can see the trend here to where, you know, it's some ebbs and flows, but as you can see, as you go into January on into now almost July or into July, you can see how those indexes have continually had a positive trend. And clients are on pace at the anniversary date to have strong positive crediting. That anniversary date, again, is going to roll into September of this year when we introduce that index. And again, it assumes that the close is going to be around 282 as far as performance. S&P Dual Swift, this is one that S&P reached out to our organization carrying the product development team, and they want us to basically kind of dip our toe in the water with this particular index, and they allowed it to be exclusive to SILAC for the first couple of months. It is going to open up to every other vendor that is available to offer this particular index here next month, but it creates a volatility. It's almost up to a volatility index, almost up to 13. And you can see based off of these allocations, it's S&P 500. So you get a good, I would say, bandwidth of the S&P 500 performance plus that higher volatility index. And then it also goes into treasuries. And as I stated before, you can see bonds are down, obviously, because the interest rate environment and rates are up. So when you look at this and how it's allocated, 64% to equities, 30% to cash, there is, again, great performance here, again, with that volatility index close to 13%. And you can see from July of last year to now, almost up to 7%. If you look at when we compare it back to our NASDAQ Next Gen release to now, almost 11%. And then year to date, close to 10% return at 9.59%. So a great story to tell here with one of our indexes. Again, it was exclusive to SILAC for this first couple of months, but it's going to expand out to other avenues and resources to be able to allocate to this index through other channels. And this should say from first issue date, it does, excuse me, sorry, we updated that slide. But point is like if you had this contract from the inception of March of 23, when we introduced this contract, and you go to the anniversary next year, there is a strong likelihood based off the performance right now that you would have some positive credits and be able to see some of those returns. So this assumes, again, that it's going to close at about 5,968, and you can see how the trends are going as of right now. And if that continues to go, then you will have some positive credits on your first anniversary. This is a great slide that I think sums up everything that we've just discussed. One thing I forgot to highlight, and I apologize for this, is Atlas as a whole has been one of the top performing indexes in 2023. So you're going to see some of that translate over as we go further on into the year. But this summarizes everything that has gone on from a year over year point, from September to July, as you can see here, and then year to date, what those indexes look like. And as the bullet point states, Atlas was one of the first index to turn negative, but it's also one of the first ones to turn positive. And you're seeing that here as far as performance. And as I indicated in that previous slide, where RavenPack was one of the last indexes to turn negative, and then now it's going to be the last one to get positive credit. So that's what it's reflecting here. But as I stated before, no indexes are the same depending on the economic environment, and the triggers within those particular indexes are going to dictate how that performance goes. This is a slide that basically just talks about where some of our highest interest crediting rates are occurring right now. And as you can see here, over 12 million in interest credit so far year to date. So a great story to tell. That's why fixed index annuities are talking about are going to continue to be strong in the marketplace. And with what Carrie's going to touch on, our level option budget and our crediting history, we have a good story to say here at SILAC of why we're providing consistency, a seamless contract with 1-year strategies. And so this is a good outline of where some of those positive credits are occurring and what we're crediting interest to. So to touch on the secret sauce, this goes to where if you had a strong index but you have a low option budget, you're not really getting much of the performance of that index. And when you start to talk about, a modest index compared with a strong option budget, you can get strong results. But when you have those two in tandem, where you have a great index with the par rates and crediting strategies on top of a great option budget, you're able to really knock this out of the park. And that's what you're seeing here with what the story we're telling about some of the indexes that we provide in our portfolio. And this basically summarizes it as a whole. You could talk about the raw gains that we have with the S&P 500, Barclays, Credit Suisse, Ravenpack, and NASDAQ Next Gen. And then you tie that into the par rates. And as you can see here with NASDAQ Next Gen, I mean, those par rates, 280%, the Ravenpack, 290%. So you can see, even though some of those strategies aren't strong right now, if the trend continues as we've been talking about, that's going to create a great story. Then also specific is highlighting NASDAQ Next Gen. You could see like that tech sector index and that having that stop loss feature where it can go to cash, you could see you're getting double-digit returns as far as the interest credit, and then combining that with that par rate. The boost strategy, again, if you are not familiar with it, please reach out to IAMS or us directly and we can touch on it. But this is another option to provide your clients with ways to have positive crediting, even in struggling markets or some volatility here. But when you add that boost strategy to some of these indexes that we provide, you can see that it still creates a strong story for your clients and potentially creating positive returns depending on the anniversary of the contract. So with this, I'm going to have Carrie touch on our level option budget and renewal rates. And Carrie, please take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Andre. All right, so we're going to dig into our pricing strategy, our rate setting strategy, to make sure that you guys are all on the same page and have the right expectations for how things work with SILAC. So first of all, we're pretty transparent about this. We talk about the fact that we use a level option budget pricing strategy. That means that once a policy is issued, the option budget for that policy is essentially locked in. And every single year that we set rates for that policy, we are setting rates using that same exact option budget. Now, level budget doesn't necessarily mean level adjustment, level cap, or level par rate. So the big question about renewal rates then is, well, what does that budget buy us each year? And a couple things come into play to determine what amount of cap or par rate that we can afford. Andre, if you want to go ahead and go on to the next one. So first of all, what cap par rate we can afford is dependent upon three things. First of all, the biggest bogey in this is option budget. Well, we take that bogey out because our option budget isn't changing. But if you are working with a company who does change that option budget during the renewal year, then right away, if they decrease their option budget, I'm just going to tell you all of their crediting strategy adjustments are going to look worse, okay? For us, we keep that level. So then the next most important item is volatility. And when we talk about S&P 500 crediting strategies, then if volatility goes up or down, that impacts what cap and what par rate we can offer the policyholder, even with keeping that option budget the same. And then the last item, which is the smallest component, is what happens with short rate. So just to get that out of the way, If short rates rise like they did over the last year, that's really bad news for everything, whether we're talking about S&P or vol control indexes. It makes all option costs increase a little bit. I will say though, interest rates need to rise a lot for that to really impact the adjustments in a meaningful manner. The flip side is also true. If short interest rates decline a lot, that can be good news, and actually all option costs get a little bit cheaper, meaning we can afford stronger crediting strategy adjustments. So I know we're kind of doing a big brain dump here, but this, and none of this is really specific to SILAC. This is just what goes in to the whole process of setting caps, setting par rates. The big thing here is SILAC does level option budget pricing, so we completely remove that bogey from the renewal rate setting process. So here's just kind of a table of this, and we have some of this information actually in a piece we have called Guide to Renewal Rates that we have on our portal, and we're actually working on updating that piece as well. But this is just showing for fixed rates, because we do level budget pricing, no volatility is a part of that calculation, so you can expect renewal fixed rates to be very, very, very level. S&P annual point-to-point cap is not super sensitive to volatility changes, so renewal cap should stay pretty level as well. Now, S&P par rate, monthly cap, and monthly average are absolutely sensitive to volatility. If volatility increases, par rates go down. But the flip side is true for monthly cap. If volatility increases, monthly caps go up. And that's why you're always going to see SILAC offer monthly cap on every product that we offer, because it provides a little bit of diversification with volatility movements. Now, here's the big thing is vol control indexes, whether we're talking about the 5% vol control indexes we have or the 12.5 that we have on Duo Swift, that volatility is locked in guaranteed. So hold on now. We've removed bogey 1 by doing level budget. And now the vol control indexes, our banks, Barclays, Citi, Credit Suisse, they've removed bogey 2 with volatility. So that means when you pair level option budget with a vol control index, those renewal par rates, those renewal boosts, super, super, super consistent. So why is it that we can do level budget pricing? And here's what I'm going to tell you, not everyone can. And it comes back to how are they setting rates? And how are they determining the yield that backs their product? And I'm going to kind of put companies in 2 camps. Now there's combinations that we can do of these 2 camps, but to keep it simple, we're going to split everyone up into 2 camps and say you're either a new money company or a portfolio company. New money companies is what we do. And for new money, what it means is that every day that we issue a policy, which happens to be we issue on Wednesdays, we essentially take all of those policies that were issued on that day and the assets that were purchased to support that block of policies, and we essentially wall them off on their own island. There's walls around that island that is buffering them from future rate movements, whether those rate movements are up or down. It's literally like they're in a fort. And we can do that because we're setting rates according to the assets that can be purchased today to support those products that are being issued. Because those products and the assets supporting them are on that island, we know exactly what our yield is. And so we can lock in that option budget for the policyholder. Another way of doing things is what's called portfolio pricing. And that's where we can say, okay, the yield backing that product is based off the entire portfolio of assets that the company owns. Well, some of those assets could have been purchased 10 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday. And so it's a whole block of assets purchased at different points in time. Well, as interest rates move up or down, that portfolio yield can go up or down. And so you can actually see potentially option budgets needing to decrease for the company to maintain their spread if that portfolio yield does decrease. Now, I will say for portfolio pricing, interest rate movements have a tempered effect on them, because if interest rates go high, if interest rates rise, they have to rise for a meaningful amount of time to really increase that portfolio yield. And the flip side is also true. So if you have a company doing portfolio pricing, it can be challenging for them to do level option budget. So we are equipped to do this level budget strategy because we do new money pricing paired with level option budget rate setting. So what does that really mean? And you all know we've been in pretty much a rising rate environment now for the last year and a half. Typically, a rising rate environment typically doesn't last too much longer than 18 months. We'll see what happens. But for level budget, if interest rates rise, again, policies already issued 2 years ago, whenever it was, they're on an island. And those higher interest rate movements do not impact them. The option budgets for those policies are locked in, they're unchanged. And so as we do renewal rate setting, we're setting those rates based off the option budget that was already in place for that product. And then as far as what par rate we can afford, it's just dependent on what's been going on with volatility and short rates. So this is a situation where you can actually look at our rate sheet and see higher caps and par rates on it than what is offered on renewal on policies that are in renewal, okay, for their renewals for 2, 3, et cetera years. You all know we're in this kind of environment today. And in this kind of a situation, you might say, dang it, I kind of like portfolio pricing potentially a little bit better because that's where you could see caps and par rates go up just a little bit in this situation. But you'd have to deal with the flip side as well. And if you get into a falling rate environment, that's where, Andre, if you want to go ahead and go on to the next one. In a falling rate environment, again, SILAC policies are on an island. So if interest rates fall, doesn't matter for enforced policies, they're on that island with the assets supporting them. So in a falling rate environment, same thing is true for us. The option budgets are unchanged. Where the flip side could be true for those portfolio companies, where if their portfolio yield falls, they may have to decrease their option budget on policies upon renewal. So that's kind of how it works. And in this situation, that is where you could see that renewal rates can actually be stronger than the caps and par rates that you see on our rate sheet. And in the 5 years that we've been doing FIAs, we've been in both of these environments. So let's see how that's actually impacted renewal rates. So first of all, remember, we're going to walk through our 3 products. So you're going to see that we have the same philosophy for all of those products. Teton is our accumulation liquidity, higher liquidity product. Denali has kick butt accumulation paired with income. And then Vega is our benefit product. All 3 of those product lines have all the indexes that Andre went through. So we have, obviously, you can go in the fixed account. If you're focused on US equities, you've got the S&P, International Atlas, Raven Pack for US sectors, NASDAQ for market leaders, and we actually need to add Duo Swift to it since we just released it a little bit ago for kind of the next generation of the S&P 500 built by the S&P with more consistent renewal rates. So now we're going to take a look at Teton Bonus 14 actual renewal rates. Okay, so the very first Teton Bonus 14 policy issued in June of 2019, here's their rates: 3% fixed rate, 6% cap, 50% par rate. We didn't have any vol control on it at that point. We only had the S&P 500. Now, this was 2019. Super smooth volatility environment. We moved to 2020, COVID volatility spikes, craziness, right? I was sweating it because I was like, we have such a good renewal rate story coming, but we are dealing with one of the biggest volatility spikes that the industry has ever seen. So what happened to our renewals? Fixed rate stayed level. Option budget didn't change. Fixed rate didn't change. Volatility spike, but S&P cap only went down 25 basis points. Now, par rate did have an impact. It went from 50 to 30 because it cost almost twice as much to buy that option. But volatility went up, and what happened with monthly cap? It went up actually a whole 50 basis points, and we passed that increase through to the policyholder. Monthly average stuff got a little bit worse because monthly average is sensitive to volatility. And then we introduced Atlas, and whenever we introduce a new index, we introduce it to all of our in-force policies as well. Then move on to year 3, and in year 3, volatility came back down a little bit. So what happened? Fixed rate stayed the same. We got to renew the annual cap at 6. We got to bring it back up. Our par rate was able to come back up to 40, didn't get back to the 50% level, but we did make some progress. Now, volatility came down. Monthly cap came down a little bit too. It went from 275 to 250, but still better than what they had in that first year. And then monthly average adjustment strengthened. Raven or Atlas stayed the same, and then we added Raven Pack to the mix. And then in year 4, we had short rates rise. So that makes it hard for all strategies. Fixed rate stayed the same, cap came down a little bit, par rate, you see pretty much all of the S&P strategies got a little bit worse, but we did see a little bit of pickup that we could pass through on a couple of our vol control strategies. So you see what we just went through coming to life really in the first 4 years of Teton, like to a T. It's essentially formulaic. That option budget stays the same. Volatility is the biggest factor for S&P. And then we have had we've had essentially been living in a pop-up rate environment. And so that short rate rise did impact crediting strategy adjustments, but you see certainly not at as big of a level as volatility changes can impact caps and par rates. Now, quickly, we're just gonna look at Denali, same story. Okay, so Denali came out in 2020, and then we were able to pass through a lot of improvements in year 2 because volatility came down. And then again, we kind of had that short interest rate and pop-up environment to deal with in year 3. And then if we move on to Vega, which is our newest product, so we don't have as long of a history, but again, you see similar stories. So Vega came out and we had volatility come back up a little bit. So you see some changes there, but then we're actually able to pass through some improvements to Atlas because at the beginning of this year, short rates actually started to fall a little bit there, which actually improved some things for Atlas, Raven Pack, and then we introduced NASDAQ. So that's what we have for renewal rates. So again, we have some pieces on this, and we're actually in the process of updating some as we just crossed into the next policy year for several policies. But this is something, we're a super transparent company. If you have any questions on any policies that you're working with, why renewal rates changed the way that they did, reach out to IAMS, reach out to Andre, and we absolutely can provide you transparent information, unlocking that black box and giving you the why behind these changes. So with that, Andre, thank you. Back over to you.
Thanks, Carrie. So just to kind of button this up, Carrie went over our renewal rate history and why we do what we do. I will quickly just go over one, we offer MYGAs on top of fixed index annuities, and these are our rates. Our Secure Savings Elite has been our #1 seller in that 3-year space. And this is what you have available to you. The options on the right in the blue are Elite, so you are able to add liquidity riders for a particular charge. You can see it's between 6 to 10 basis points. And the rates on the left are automatically include those liquidity riders, and then the account value is available at death or spousal continuation. And then on Elite, it is the cash surrender value at death or spousal continuation. And then quickly just touching on some of those rates and where they are today, you could see here strong fixed rates that you have, capture strong, and then with that dual swift and the high volatility, you're able to get 80% participation rate. And then along with those custom indexes and the boost strategies, that have been a good story for us so far in 2023. Then when you add in Elevation, which is our new liquidity rider that we just introduced literally 2-3 weeks ago, you are able to add some additional enhancements to Teton, where you're now able to do 10% free withdrawals. You're up to 50% cumulative withdrawals. And then you have additional liquidity riders if there's a life event or a home health care need with the spouse or the owner of the contract. So that is available for a spread, not a fee. And depending on which rider you choose on Elevation, it will dictate if it's a 50 basis point spread or 100 basis point spread. And we can touch on that anytime, either reaching out to IAMS or feel free to reach out to us and we can get you those details. And then I almost forgot, you have an additional premium bonus on top of Teton bonus. So you can get almost 20% when you combine Elevation Plus with our fixed rate and the additional bonus that you're getting here. It's a strong story as far as performance. And then quickly, Denali. Denali is our #1 seller, has strong rates, but again, with now the differentiator with Teton and the Elevation, it's I mean, you're competing, just decides what you're looking for. Denali, as Carrie indicated, is a great accumulation vehicle, but you also have that option for lifetime income. And these are some of the crediting strategies that are available to you, which you can see are very strong. And that boost strategy, again, depending on index performance, you can have a boost between 4 to 7% to where it can enhance that crediting for that particular year. And then when you add the premium bonus plus the fixed rates, you can see here, year one, you can get 9% on our 7-year, and that can go all the way up to age 90. And then when you go to our 10-year, 12% year one rate. And then 14-year, you have a 15% year one rate. And that's obviously combining the bonus plus the fixed rate. And you can see how that nets out to the client. So great accumulation with the option of income if need be. Vega, as Carrie indicated, is in our retirement benefit space. The key thing here is that off the bat, we have a 50% bonus. I think we're one of the only companies that has a bonus that high on the benefit base. It's not on account value. But then we also include multipliers. And on our 14-year contract, you can get a multiplier up as high as 300% on deferral. But then we also have a payout on, we also have a multiplier on payout when you're ready to take income. And you can choose options of increasing, level, or a unique feature where we call an accelerated withdrawal option, to where you can have that particular benefit value paid out in 10 or 15 years, depending on which product you choose. And we have the enhanced death benefit feature in most states, which basically means whatever that benefit value is, we will pay that out over 5 years if the beneficiaries choose that option, or you can get the account value as a lump sum. But it is a great wealth transfer play on top of providing lifetime income to your clients. And then I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the Inner Circle. This has been a great program, and we've received great feedback. This particular group of people that are in it have continued to grow over this last 7 months in 2023. What the Inner Circle provides is, one, a bonus program. The minimum to get into the Inner Circle is $2.5 million, but it also provides curated swag that you get from SILAC. We just sent out some decanter bottles with wine glasses to people that are in the program, but then it also provides expedited service. So that SILAC experience, one, you can come to our office, but the thing that is really where I think the rubber meets the road is where we're providing service. And as IAMS talked about, that's one of the key reasons why many of you are doing business with them, is because of their great service. We want to be a complement to that when doing business with SILAC. So you're able to get expedited calls, expedited response times by being part of that Inner Circle program. And again, the benchmark is 2.5 million to be part of that. And then again, you're part of the bonus program. You get the curated swag, heightened service, and then the SILAC experience. And if you want to come out to our office, we will be hosting meetings, but also if anyone is in the Salt Lake City area, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to have you. And then the final piece is our Player Circle trip, top 60 agents. We are going to be renting out this particular river cruise boat on the Danube River. You can see it starts out in Passau, Germany, and ends in Budapest. I've had a couple peers that have done this particular cruise, and they say it's top notch. One thing that I will also say is that with SILAC and all the events that we've had for our Inner Circle, our Player Circle, we just went to Tanzania earlier this year, and the feedback that we got for all the people that qualified was great, top notch, one in a lifetime experience, because you're not only rubbing shoulders with the CEO, Steve Hilbert, of our company, but with Carrie Freeburg, Dan Aker, our president, Rudy Mell, and then our sales team. So we can really get to know and, connect and just have a good time. You can see the qualification periods are January 1 to December 31st of 2023. Here's some pictures of what it looks like out there. So if that is inspiring, then obviously you have an opportunity to write SILAC business. So that is it in a nutshell. Matt, I will kick it back to you, but I do appreciate your time and your business.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Carrie. Guys, if you are looking for a good carrier that keeps their promises and is transparent, you really want to take a hard look at SILAC. They're one of the best up-and-coming groups out there. I think you're going to hear them as one of the top groups in conversation for years to come. And if you don't have somebody that's as transparent as them with their renewal rates, with their product, and willing to hop on and really go into detail like this with you, then that should be a red flag for you. Some carriers won't do this. So please keep them in mind when it comes time to do business for your clients. I think they are one of the best groups out there for a lot of different reasons. Just two quick polls before we get out of here. I want to thank you guys all again for your time. One, would you like to get contracted with SILAC? I'm going to launch this poll. We'll just spend about 30 seconds on this, and then we're also going to ask a follow-up question about IAMS Wealth Management. If you are interested in getting contracted and appointed with IAMS Wealth Management, we can get that taken care of as well. So just about 10 more seconds here, and we'll close out this poll and do the last piece. All right, thank you for your responses there. All right, last one. Would you like to get appointed with IAMS Wealth Management? And then we will all get out of here. Thank you again for everybody's time today. If you have any additional questions about SILAC, about any of our capabilities here at IAMS, please feel free to reach out to me at matts@iamsinc.com or just call in to 800-255-5055, and we would be happy to give you guys a hand. And with that, we will close this one out, and I will take a look at the questions. If any of you guys had questions, I will try to get back to those right away. I don't see any right now, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to type those in and I'll get back to you. But other than that, have a great day. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time on our webinar.